Welcome today on this episode of Hanging Out with Temi. My name is Temi Ajayi, and I've got greatness. Got to honor Miss Greatness. How are you?
Hi, Temi.
I haven't got Heidi today. Chestnut is sick. But anyway, welcome. If you're joining us for the first time, thank you for joining. And if you're returnees, we say thank you as always. But please subscribe to our YouTube page. Press the bell so whenever we're on, you will be notified. And also like us on Facebook. Mondays, every Mondays, 12:30 Eastern Time. We're showing also on Channel 31. Now, Channel 31, they refurbishing all the corporation. So last week and this week, they have not been showing on the social media. You can only
Mm-hmm.
watch on the TV, only on the TV. You can watch
Oh,
them.
okay.
Yeah. So they're working on it. They're just doing general overhauling. So you might not see us coming Monday.
So social media, they are on Facebook and YouTube.
You're on YouTube, yeah, and you can watch it on on your phone, or on your iPad. But because they were doing all this refurbishment, you couldn't. And last week I had to, I don't know about you, I had to go on the TV to watch them. So they just to let everybody know that what is happening. And how are you, Liz?
I am good. I'm a bit tired. I
Really?
had a very big week. Yeah. Normally I only work 3 days, but this week, we on a recruitment drive and all those supervisory meetings that we had with the staff. So it was quite hectic.
Oh,
I had to
really?
be in. Yeah, I had to be in from Monday to Friday. So,
Oh,
yeah, had a really hectic week this week. But
you look
yeah,
bright,
that's
though. I was going to say you look really bright. You see,
yeah.
sometimes people,
Well, being busy probably does me good, doesn't it?
I think so. It does everybody good, I think, really. You're right. You're very
Yeah.
right. Otherwise, you just
Sometimes
be,
we don't realize how good it is to actually be busy,
yeah,
to do
I like
something
being.
constructive. Yeah, because otherwise you just get into that space where you relax and you relax yourself into a place where you're not up to anything.
Yeah, I know. You just want to relax and keep relaxing and really, it's non-productive. So,
Absolutely waste of time.
yeah, true.
Yeah, but I
So,
count my blessings. God is good.
amen.
How about
That's good.
you?
Yeah, it's been good as well. I had a good week and can't complain. I like when my schedule is like the same as you talk, and I'm ticking it
Mm,
off. So I'm so happy I did this
yeah,
today.
yeah.
Yeah, but I've got one thing on my book that I have not ticked off, which
Uh-huh.
is to contact a lady that really, really do need, our love. Apparently, I got a number of a common friend that referred to me. She refused to take the vaccine and she was sacked from work. Can you believe
No.
it? She was sacked from work. She's got mortgage that she's paying for, and I think she's by herself. So she's really
Wow.
angry, really upset because she does not believe in this vaccine for now. She knows the bulletin that was put out that the vaccine it's on trial. And she said, if that is the case, she's very strong on that. I'm not going to take it until it is proven that it's safe. And also, she said she knows that she heard a lot of feedback that people that took it, the effect of it on them. So she wasn't going to try that on herself. Anyway, they sacked her
Mm.
from, and now I can imagine what she. So I haven't been able to come to speak with her. That's the only one that I've got, but I will do that.
Okay.
What do you do? How do you what do you do?
You know what?
What do
With
you?
the turn of events, I also had to take the vaccine. I remember I told you I went for my vaccination.
Yeah, you did.
Um, because I could see where the
Yes.
narrative was going, really, with the reports that were coming from government, that it was eventually getting to that place where you have to take it. So I went back into myself and had a conversation with my husband and decided, okay, let's do it. So that's how come I did it. But now it's almost compulsory for all the essential workers. They don't put it in such a way, the words don't come out like that, but that's exactly what it is. For all the essential workers, there's dates and timelines. I think by the 15th or so, you should have your first dose already,
Yeah,
and somewhere around the towards month end or so, is it
yeah.
next month, you should have your second dose. There are dates given for that.
Can you
And
imagine?
yes,
Yeah. So
we are
everybody's
receiving the,
values,
yeah.
your values, your independence, your privacy, your self sense of self, everything is being taken. With the mind of COVID. But anyway, it's that's my story. We miss Heidi, don't we? Our little
Yeah,
Heidi.
sure we do.
We just hope that Chestnut gets well. If Chestnut gets sick, they might say he's got COVID. Be mindful of that. Nobody wants to go to the hospital now because they say it's COVID. But never mind. We miss you, Heidi,
Yeah, that
and
the
hope.
whole family must isolate.
Yeah, I know. She'll cry. She'll cry. But this week, if you're watching us and you watched us last week, you would have seen Fur with us. This week again, we're bringing Fur for another amazing ride. That woman, it's a story is a success story. However, it's very intriguing, but because before we get to where we got to today, there was a journey. And that journey, looked seemingly daunting, like it's like a mystery that's in human beings. So I can't wait to have her on. But our faith chat is supposed to have Pastor Festus Newton. But guess who is coming? His brother, Bishop Wayne Brown. Bishop is a common friend of all of us. And that's the one I was saying that I had the dream he was coming. Remember? I said either him or Pastor Festus. And I said, I'm going to talk to Pastor Festus first. But the two people came, and my husband was like, why that? How did you get me? I said, I don't know. But it just came to me. And when I spoke with Pastor Festus, he says, whenever I'm not able to come, you know who is coming? My brother. I'm like, really? Just like that? So I can't wait. Liz, you are in for a ride. With
Okay,
You are
let's have
in for a ride.
Bishop Wayne. Yeah.
Yeah, Bishop Way. These people are scholars of the word. He's coming from England. I hope he knows the time, zone that because we have daylight savings. So instead of
That's
10,
right.
9 hours is not 10 hours or something like that. So he should be with us soon. So we're gonna have fun today. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Also, next week, my father is likely to be on the show, and I can't wait to have my father. My father is
That's
on.
that's gonna be an interesting one.
Will be the oldest man that we're probably going to have on the show. My father is almost 90, and but he's still doing well. But I haven't seen him for a while. We've been talking, but and his phone does not do FaceTime. So I'm like, we got him a phone, and he says it
Yeah.
was too technical. He couldn't use the technical phone, but God knows what sort of phone he's got right now, But it's gonna be interesting next week. He's going to have a chat to us. So expect my daddy, my biological father.
Uh-huh.
Can't wait. He's coming. But
So how do you refer to him? Is he
Baba,
also
Baba me. I call him Baba me, but we call him daddy, we call him Baba, call him
okay?
mean
So
father.
if your father is a chief, you still just refer to him as daddy,
Yes, we still refer to
but
him as
other people have to.
we call him
Um,
chief.
okay, okay,
Yeah, well, we call him Pa
uh,
Animasha, Pa.
okay,
So my fiery father, the no nonsense man, but he's now old and tired. So hope to see my father. But let's go on a quick break, and hopefully, Bishop Wayne Brown, please calculate your time that you're coming up. It's too late now, but anyway, let's go on a quick break and we'll be back. I've
okay.
got some interesting question I want to ask. I don't know if you got a question or you. Sorry, I don't know why I'm being carried away with these biblical queries, but I just want to be sure that I know what I know. And some questions are not they're not taught in church. We're not talking about it. Sometimes we don't preach about it. So this is an opportunity for us to ask any question whatsoever. So I'm really excited about this. Can't wait. Let's go on a quick break and we'll be back.
Great.
Welcome back on Hanging Out with Temi. My name is Temi Ajayi and I've got Miss Greatness. If you're just joining us, Heidi Soliman isn't here today. Just in case you missed that, Chestnut is Heidi's dog. And that dog is like the third child. They sleep together, they eat together,
Yeah.
they kiss each other, God knows. But no, so that's the only thing that will make Heidi not show up, you know that. But there you go. Please, have you got a pressing question you've got to ask for this page chat? Or do you want my own question to go today?
No, I think your question is quite relevant because there's some teachings in the books of Paul, particularly that are directed to the congregations that he was ministering at, and there are teachings that are for all the believers. So it's good to have somebody bring that distinction for you that this applies to everybody,
Yeah.
whether you were there then or whether you are here now. You still have
And
to
what has
oblige.
changed? What has changed now? That's what has changed now, and you really want to know. And these things,
Yeah,
like I said, I can't wait. I really can't wait.
yeah.
I've got a question. I'm always coming with this question. I want to ask you. I was talking to one of my kids last week, and I was saying that, you got to brace. I was encouraging her to brace up and that life is tough and it continues to be tough and you never know which side you're going to be hit. So I was saying that it's always good to prepare yourself just in case. I remember when my kids were little, I always say to them that you need to know how to fast. Go without food some days because what if there is war? I always talk to them about war. We've never been in war before, never experienced, there was no war. There was civil war in Nigeria, but very localized, like
Mm.
ethnic war. So we really have not experienced like national war, global war in Nigeria. So, but I know about war and I know how terrible it could be. So I was talking to I always tell my children to brace up and to prepare for in case there's war. So if you know how to fast, if there's for war and you couldn't find food for 2 days, you will survive.
Yeah.
So this one again last week I was talking about to brace yourself for the a lot of things like mishap of this world. And then she's like, why do you think I have to prepare myself for mishap? Why do you think life is tough? Why do I have to prepare? Does it have to be tough for me? And it was a big conversation. And after that, I'm thinking, really, do we have to preach? I don't know, but I've always preached this. I'm going to rub mind with people. So if you're watching us and you're listening to me, if you got an insight into this question, please shoot it to us. But Liz, do we have to say people to prepare for hard time and unforeseen circumstances? Do we have to, or we just?
Look, hard times are here among us.
Hmm.
You don't necessarily go through hard times as in like a bunch of them, at one go, and you really realize I'm really in a, like Murphy's Law, when this one happens, it has a ripple effect. Everything else that comes really drags you down. It's most of the times it's not like that. But hard times are like when you lose, the one person who was dear to you, when you,
I
you know,
did.
like lose a limb. When you lose a limb, that's a hard time. You've got to learn to live, and have a quality of life without that limb.
Mhm.
So that there are obvious hard times, like there could be a war. That's really as worst as it can get. But without even going to that, we've got these little things that are happening among us that are already,
War.
hard,
Yeah.
for which we've got to be prepared in one or the other way. Now, nobody is set out for not having their eyes, waking up tomorrow.
Hmm.
All of us go to bed and we wake up tomorrow and we expect them to work.
Yeah.
Or you get into your car, you don't expect to greet people from the hospital. You want to come back home.
Yeah.
So you know I think it's a consciousness that anything can go wrong anytime. That's what we need to live with, so that we are not caught, at the wrong side when things go wrong. And if you have that consciousness, when you hear the bad news, at least it doesn't really rock your boat in a manner that you can't get back up again. But there's a lot of things that rocks our boat in many ways.
Yeah. So is that consciousness that we need to present. So what you're saying is it's not bad to say to someone to brace up themselves, because if you just think life is easy, everything is rosy, like the girl, a friend of my friend that went to work, we never knew COVID would be here. We never knew somebody will make it mandated for you to take something or you be sacked like with immediate effect. We never believed that there will be a time that they will try something on human, but it's here and we all have to abide by it. But these things sometimes, you know, uh, we take life for granted, it's true. Sometimes it just plays in your head like, do I have right to my body? Do I even have right to myself? Is it because I want to eat? Is it because I need a job? Is it because I need money? Is that why I have to introduce? And this is the way the whole world is going. And so when she was saying to me, don't tell me to prepare for the future because mishap, I was thinking, I don't know if there's anything bad in that. You know, things are happening. I have a friend
Mm.
that the daughter is, one day she's 21 years old, Liz. She just woke up one day and she collapsed. till today she's on the wheelchair. She was fit as a fiddle. There was nothing wrong with her. 21. How can you raise a child to age 21 and all of a sudden she's on wheelchair? I'm saying that to say anything can happen. That's the same book you're saying, the same book of Paul Corinthians that says, I think it was Corinthians, First Corinthians 10:12 that says, when you are standing,
Mm-hmm.
watch lest you fall. I like that passage a lot. Watch lest you fall, because it's just keeping me grounded and appreciating every moment I have. Every moment I
Mm.
open my eyes, like you said, you can sleep one night and wake up. Same this happened to my mommy. Woke up and then she can't see. She slept last night, she was able to see. Today, there's a problem. She had to do a surgery. So
Wow.
things are happening, and I think, like you said, Liz, I think you embrace what I said. Right? We need to prepare because, like you said, it's around us. It's there. So we might call
Yeah,
it war. It could be war in a country, but it could be
that's
war
right.
in your life. It could be war and turmoil in your situation. We don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It turns around in a second. You won't realize. So if we live with that, you may have your food, you may have your house, you may have, all the basics to make it comfortable for you. But, the one person who is the pillar in your life may, be lying in the intensive care. You know what
Wow,
I mean? So it,
wow,
it affects you. It's at that point in time, everything that you have that money could buy doesn't matter anymore. You are losing this very important person in your life any minute from now. And you've
wow,
got to cope with that because, having a car doesn't bring that person back.
wow,
So we need to prepare ourselves in a manner that money cannot buy,
wow,
because the things that are affecting us are exactly those things that money can't buy. You can't
wow,
bring your leg back if it is amputated. No money.
wow. The other thing, Liz, is I don't know about you, but I work with these and I'm working through it. But I think about everybody around me a lot. And
Mm,
when things are happening to them, it's almost it's happening to me almost like I can feel it. So, and I'm thinking, I'm not more privileged than them. And this is happening. So I say to people, when you're standing, watch lest you fall. And so that is
yeah,
why we have to love each other, pray for one another. And maybe when I'm praying 9, maybe 5 for you, least 5 is coming back to me, or 10 is coming back to me too. That's the way we can embrace and sanitize our environment. you know I have friends that the daughter is sick, the husband is sick, the son is sick. One
sure.
person. And it's not a small, it's like a serious thing. The daughter has to have a surgery. The husband needs 24 hours care. They're not old, they're like my age. It's not like they're old now, and you know what I mean. How do you how do you manage that?
Yeah, that's tough. That's why we need people around us, Temi. We cannot do life alone. We
Hmm.
really cannot do life alone.
That
So
is the
we need
message I
to.
received in Nigeria.
Mm,
I live every day like it's my last. That's the only way that makes sense to me. Heidi. Heidi always, this is Heidi's philosophy.
yeah, sure,
And she
sure.
maintains it. She always live like this. I I just thank God for every moment that I have. I really, really thank God that, Father, oh, because you deem fit to make me see today. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful, Father, and I
And
hope
mind you, there's people who have today and don't even realize,
I know.
there are people who are so sick and they can't appreciate the light of day. They can't appreciate the meal. They can't appreciate,
I
the
appreciate
person.
everything.
Exactly.
I appreciate everything, even water.
So
I think we
those of
might.
us who can, yeah, we should appreciate.
I appreciate. So I hope everyone is appreciating as well. I know who is the giver of life. In saying the giver of life, I think our bishop is here. Let's bring Bishop back.
Wow.
Hello, man of God. Oh my God, you're still muted. Oh
Sorry, I
my
just wanted to say,
gosh.
can you hear me okay? I'm all right. How are you?
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to have you, Bishop. On.
It's good to see
Unbelievable.
you. Good to see you.
Good to
Thanks for
see
having
you,
me.
sir.
Good to
Anytime
be
I
here.
dreamt about you, and it's happening in my time.
Amen.
Miss
Nice to meet you,
Greatness.
Liz. And say that again. I'm
Liz,
sorry.
Liz is going to say hello
Yes.
to
Yeah.
you.
Nice to meet you, Liz. Yeah. Nice to meet you as well. And
Nice to
it's good
meet
to
you,
be
Bishop.
with Pastor Temi. The I call her
Sir,
the mother, my mother in Australia.
yes, you do.
Yeah.
God bless
Absolutely.
you, Bishop.
Bless you. Good to be here.
Thank
Sorry,
you
I was
so
slightly late.
very much.
Amen.
Your brother is
Wonderful.
saying good to see you, Bishop Wayne.
Ah, wonderful. My brother. Good to see you, sir. Love you guys so much. I can't wait to get out there again. But this situation is bringing us all into a bit of a it's making us consider what's important. So, but I'm
I
glad we
know.
can do it like this, at least.
Say that again, Bishop.
So I'm glad we can do it like this at least. But once this
Oh yeah,
situation
sure,
clears up, we
sure.
can see each other in person. My connectivity here is not very good because I'm at my daughter's lessons at the moment. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to jump into the library at this school
Okay.
when my daughter does her Saturday. They do Saturday music classes. So um,
Wow.
yeah,
It's interesting to hear, Bishop. Every man that even my president of the Rotary Club, every man
right.
I've been talking to, they're either in the laundry because the kids are in the lounge room they're doing meeting in odd places because the kids have taken over the
Yeah,
house.
yeah, yeah. Well, I thought
Even
there's opportunities to do it, and I'm always at home online and spend most of my days online. So I thought, well, let's just get out. And we got on the bikes today and rode down to this the school where they do the lessons. So I thought, well, let me just jump on here, and it's good.
it's
Good
good
to
to
see you
have you.
guys.
Bishop, we're gonna play our music for you and then we're gonna bring you back.
All right, no problem.
Welcome back on the show. And we've got Bishop Wayne Brown all the way from England on the show
Hey
with
guys.
us today. Bishop, you are a student of the Word of God,
Okay.
encyclopedia. I mean, it's from the generation from your grandfather to your father, and down to yourself. Please, can you introduce yourself a little bit so that the world knows you
Yeah.
fast? Please.
So I'm Wayne Brown. Currently doing a multiplicity of things, but one of those things is just the awesome pleasure of leading a church called Life, and we're a church that's growing. We're growing to propagate and spread what we believe is the only gospel, which is the gospel of grace, which is God's just awesome gift to us. And so, a lot of our conversation will be around that. I've been in this vocation for the last 17, 18 years now, actually. Um,
Wow.
So it's just been a journey, and I'm loving it. And I've got a new wind, a new lease of life in terms of trying to get this message of grace across to not just the world, but believe it or not, a lot of the church needs to hear it as well. So that's a little bit about
Amen. You see, we got the best. that's that's the reason why I'm so excited really to have you, because I've known you now, Bishop. You don't mince your words when it comes to the things of God. You give it undiluted, pure word of God, and I really really honor you for that.
Thank
I'm
you.
very grateful that your brother says the best man to come today is you, and I agree. But Bishop, without taking too much of your time, I was
Okay.
reading my word,
Yes.
and I always pause when I'm reading, and I'll go back and I'll pause, and I really want to know this, and I thought you can help us to enlighten us about the First
Okay.
Corinthians 11:5 that
Yes.
says, "But a woman dishonors her head if if she prays or prophesies without a covering on her head.
Right.
For this is the same as shaving her head. Yes, if she refuses to wear a head covering, she should cut off all her hair. But since it is shameful for a woman to have her hair cut, or her head shaved, she should
Right.
wear a covering." Oh, I've been reading this every time, and I just pass it like, we don't do it anyway. It doesn't matter. And grace dispensation, and you teach about grace. So I don't know if this is grace or if we're just, I don't know what it is. So I thought, please, Bishop.
Okay. Where do I start? I'm just gonna try and get this up on my system here. 1 Corinthians 11. Let's have a look at it. It's really interesting, that the idea of the Bible, and we know it's the inspired word of God. We know it's holy. We know that it has spiritual ramifications and consequences. But it's
Right.
really interesting that sometimes we don't read the Bible from the context in which it was written. And
Hmm.
what I mean by that is that the book of Romans was written to a specific people in Rome, Corinthians to a specific set of people in Corinth.
Corinth.
As we
Yeah.
go through Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, there's a reason why the letters were different to the different churches that Paul was writing to. And I think it's probably really important to make that distinction immediately, that a part of the struggle, and I call it struggle in the true sense of the word, of reading and interpreting scripture is about understanding that there's a context that we don't live in, that the scripture was written into. So once we get the context of something, it becomes a little bit easier to understand why Paul was saying what he was saying, and then
Yes.
navigate through to whether or not it's relevant for us, or whether it's actually a principle that we need to understand, or whether it's something that we need to actually apply to doctrine. And when it applies to doctrine, now we come into the space where we begin to argue over whether it's right or wrong, whether it should be done, whether or not it has a eternal consequence. So I've probably put a lot into that straight away. But a
Eternal
lot of the,
consequence. I love that.
yeah, I
Yes.
mean, a lot of the stuff in the Bible, if we're being, it's funny actually. We're talking about the Bible. I'm in a library. um, a lot of the stuff in the Bible is for the principle, kingdom principle.
Yep.
The majority of it is to talk about the gift in terms of the progression and eternal security, salvation, etc. But there are some things in the Bible that we have, that don't necessarily have an eternal consequence, but are good for doctrine, and are good
Oh,
for helping to reprove, and helping to reprove and correct,
correct.
and to teach. And so the question is, if it doesn't have an eternal consequence,
Okay.
i.e., if it's not a matter of life or death, if it's not a matter of heaven or hell, then why is it there? Why is it in the Bible? Is it for doctrinal purposes, globally, universally, or is it to actually pick apart a lesson that we can learn in terms of what Paul or what others may have been saying at that time in that season? All right, so that's a long-winded interpretation. So when you get into Corinthians, for example, we've got to know that the books, or rather the letters to Corinth, we
Yeah.
call them books, but in fact they were letters. They were written to a particular group of people in a particular city at a particular time in a particular phase of their newfound Christian faith. And it's really important because, it's like me writing a letter to Brisbane or to Melbourne, for example. But I'm not writing to the entire population of Melbourne. I'm writing to a group of people within Melbourne that have just found a new way of doing things. Amongst the other things that are happening in the city or in the town or in the area, I'm writing to them. So Paul starts off this letter, and when he starts talking about head coverings, one of the contexts of this is that we probably skip over, and this is why sometimes we've got to read outside of the canon, outside of the
Yes.
Bible. Is that one of the contexts is that there were a multiplicity of religions, false doctrines. Well, we say false doctrines as it stands to our Christian perspective. There were temples, shrines. There were places of sacrifice, places of worship for loads and loads of different religions and deities and gods, small g. And one of the things that would happen is that in the time, a lot of the men, in order to placate these gods, especially the gods of fertility, which is why Paul speaks a lot about sexual immorality within the church in Corinth,
Yeah.
because the time was shrouded by this concept of, in order to appease the gods of sexual fertility, then we have temples to those gods, and in the temples we had temple prostitutes, and the prostitutes in the temples would look a certain way. Now, most of the prostitutes in the temple prostitutes for these deities and these gods that were worshipped for fertility, etc., they would have their heads shaven, and so it was distinctly different to the people of Corinth. Or, how would you tell a temple prostitute apart from a temple worshiper? Well, the temple prostitutes were dressed a certain way, but also their heads were shaven and their heads were marked. And so one of the things that Paul is saying in the book of Corinth is saying, listen, one of the reasons why it's a shame for your head to be shaven is because you could look like you're
Oh, wow.
representing in church something that we
Wow.
don't actually practice. And so if you understand again the context, like someone walks into a church and sees all these head shavings because, and it's just like the temple. Let's see if I can pick one of these women up and pay my respects to this God, this newfound God that we've got. So he's saying we've got to make a distinction between what we do as newfound Christians and what they do as the world. Now, here's the lesson in that, is that there should be some form of demarcation between what we present as Christians in our services and what other religions present as Christians in their services. That's the context of it. So when we go back into it, he says, look, where is it? Where are we? Head coverings, verse number 2. Okay. I command you because you remember in everything. Sorry, go on.
Yes, go on, sir. Yep.
I commend you because you remember me in everything, and I maintain the traditions even though I delivered you. But I want you to understand the head of every man is Christ, the head of every wife, the head of every wife is a husband, the head of every of Christ is God. Every man who prays or prophesies with his head covered dishonors his head. So now we're getting to the place where, hold a minute, you tell me I can't cover my head when I pray? Go right now to Israel. Remember, he's writing to the church in Corinth. Go right to Israel and go to the Wailing Wall, and you will find it that most of the Jewish people that are praying at the Wailing Wall, the Jewish men and the women, both of them would have either a skull cap or a talit, and they would have it over their head. And so what we're talking about here in terms of covering is actually, in my reading of the Bible, in my understanding of this, is authority. We're talking about an authority. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because authority is, in this grace dispensation, it is not gender-based, it's positional. So there is a positional distinction between the authority of God over me and the authority of me over my wife. It's not a subjugated, you must do as I say, authoritarian dictatorship. What we're really talking about is a positional place in relationship to where I stand between God and to where my wife stands between me, quote unquote, me and God. And that is to say that when God spoke to Adam, he said, Adam, don't eat the fruit from the tree. He didn't tell Eve not to do that. That's positional. That's not authoritarian. So when
Yeah.
Eve the tree took the fruit, God didn't go back to Eve and say, what have you done? I didn't tell you not to eat the fruit. God said to Adam, what have you done? Why has
What
this woman? Why has your woman? And then Adam went to Eve, what has you done? So there is a positional setup that
right.
allows for the transference of authority, revelation, information, etc., etc. That is authority that is positionally and authoritarianly, if that's a word, based. And what I mean by that is, if we get down to the gender root of it, then we get into contradiction, because the Bible says in another verse that there's no more man, there's no woman, there's no slave, there's no free, there's no
Mhm.
Scythian, there's no barbarian, but Christ is all and in all. And what that means is, that's in second Colossians, I think that is. And what that means is that actually under Christ there is a quality of access. But what Paul is dealing with here, he's dealing with the positional relationship of authority. And so he says, listen, Christ is your head. You got to understand where your authority comes from and where your ability to practice comes from. And then he says to the man, you're the head of the wife. You have to, in a sense, understand what you need to do in order to give your wife the license to have her authority. This is how I read it, right? And sometimes I get challenged on this all the time. And what that means is that, if you're out of place, then how do you expect your wife to have authority? If you're not in the place, in the line, i.e. God, hearing from God, speaking to God, how do you expect those that come under you to have access to that authority? And so he's doing this, and he's again doing this in the context of the Corinthian church, because he doesn't
Right.
say this to the Galatians, he doesn't say this to the Ephesians, he doesn't say this to the
Yes.
Philippians. He's speaking contextually to this particular people. Um,
Wow.
so I don't know, maybe I'm going on a bit too much here. And then he says, but every wife who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head, since it is the same as if her head were shaven. I.e., you
Yeah.
dishonor your head because you've got no authority. You've got no authority, quote unquote. Remember what we're talking about in terms of positional. And it's a shame, because what happens to the temple prostitutes is that they have no authority. Their heads are shaven. They have no covering, which is why they have one man 1 minute, another man the next minute, another man the next minute. And so actually there's no line of authority. It's just a free for all as it relates to authority. And that
Wow.
dishonors the head, that dishonors what comes next. And so he's saying, look, we've got to have a demarcation. We've got to have a distinction. We've got to understand that this Christianity is not that temple worship. This revelation of grace is not that. And so he goes on and he talks about it like never before. He talks in the Galatians about how can you be deceived by trying to be this pseudo Jewish Christians by doing circumcision. And he gets really vexed and outraged with the Galatian church about that stuff. And with the Corinthian church, he said, listen, man, how is it that, I hear that the one son is sleeping with his father's wife and all that sort of stuff. This is he's dealing with the context of the church. And so when you put it in that context, it says, listen, how can you prophesy when you are potentially making a mockery of authority, because you are
Wow.
looking like something that doesn't belong in the context of this new family.
Wow. That is so good, Bishop. I love that. That's very, very
Yeah,
clear. Well, thank you so very much. I think that is very clear that it's written in a specific time for a specific group of people. It's a positional kind of authority. And
yeah,
sometimes it's true, you need to differentiate from prostitute and the real thing and from unreal thing. Liz, Did you have your pen and paper? And the good thing is we can go back and and review it. I think the next time, the time we're giving to bishops and the man of God, I don't think is enough because we need more time. But we're gonna have to release Bishop. It's 8 o'clock in the morning in London. We
All right.
do appreciate your time, man of God. And the good thing is we can go back and listen again. But you made it very simple. It's not that hard the way you
Yeah.
presented it to us. And it does make a lot of sense. But the other question I was going to go into is maybe next week we'll go into it is that so can we still apply that to the church of today, uh,
Yeah.
really in some context as well? So we
Yeah.
might do that next week,
Well,
Bishop. Thank you so
I'll give you one tip before I cross.
much.
Whenever I'm reading the Bible, I use three C's. Three C's. So it's
Yes.
the context.
Aha.
Number one, C is the context. Then I
Mm-hmm.
look at the text, which is the verses before, the
Yeah.
verses after, the chapters before, the chapters after. And then I
Mm-hmm.
look at the other C is contemporary relevance. How does this apply to me now? And when I put it through that filter, hopefully the Bible comes alive.
Three C. Three C's.
Context, context, and contemporary relevance.
Thank you so much. When we say bishop is not a joke, because this thing you told me, I look at the context, and then I might read it before, but I didn't put it into that three C's. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
talking to my bishop at home because part of that Bible passage says, "Ask your own husband if you have a query." So,
yeah.
Bishop, thank you so much, and it's
Bless you.
always a pleasure. In fact, you can't believe how much happy I am to see you today.
Likewise,
You see you
likewise. Me
every
too.
time. Yes, love to Michelle and the girls
Bless you.
in London. We appreciate
Will
you,
do.
man of God. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Goodbye.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Liz, how good that was. For me, I
Yeah.
don't know about you. I just feel like I should be listening to these people forever and ever and ever. I just enjoyed it too much. But we're gonna have Fur on today. Brace up, guys. If you're watching us, brace up. I always like to brace. Somebody says to me, is there war? Why are you always looking at TV? There is gonna be a war. It's not a war, but I just love uh insight. I love knowledge. I love people's experiences, especially when they are out of when they stand in spite of whatever is sitting there. But Liz, let's go on a quick break. And when we come back, the next person you're going to see with us is Fur Wale. Love the name. Uh, uh, uh,
Heidi,
Hello, Fur.
hi, how are you? Oh my goodness, this
Wow,
is
good to
so
see you.
nice. Hey, where's Heidi? No Heidi today?
No, Heidi. Heidi's dog, Chestnut, is in the hospital, in Cabrini Hospital or something. The dog is sick. And we know when Heidi's dog is sick, anything is sick in Heidi's as she's sick. That's
It
why.
destabilizes a big time.
So yeah, that's why. Fantastic. Well, if you're joining us, we've just finished with Bishop Wayne Brown from England, and now we have our own Fur. It's been an amazing time with you, Fur. Welcome on the show again. You, in fact, after I did the last episode with you, I'm feeling a sense of, I don't know, fulfillment and some joy. It just there's something about you. I don't know what it is, but you're gonna tell us.
How
Something
amazing are
about you.
you? Thank you. That was a great introduction. And I just, the energy here is just so fantastic. Who wouldn't want to come back again and again? Wonderful.
Thank
You
you.
guys do such great work out in the community. I must just first commend you for everything that you're doing for your community, for everyone. Yeah, and especially during these times, we need a bit of upliftment. It's important. Yeah.
True.
We do fantastic.
So what are we up to today?
Yeah, we talked about your adventure when you were little and all those things that you've done, taking a train to an unknown destination and all sort of things. But this week we thought we'd go to your university, uh, you know, time because you were studying film, art, drama, all those things. I don't know if you ended up finishing that or is that what you
Yeah, I
studied?
did. Yes, I did. And it's really come in handy for everything that I do now as a public speaker. So having drama behind me, and I also studied another course after that, which included counselling and natural medicine, and that's come in handy now because I get to talk about the primal wisdom in our bodies. So it's amazing when you start out in life, when you go after your passion, you're never really sure where you're going to end up with that. If you follow a pathway, say you want to become an accountant, you know where that's going to end up. But I chased my passion. I did art, then I did natural medicine, and then I just didn't know what I was going to do with both of those two opposite things. But, there was a plan, and now I'm equipped with all the information I need to be of service to the community myself.
Okay. So tell us about natural medicine. What is that? Like Chinese medicine?
Well, similar, although I didn't study Chinese herbs. Natural medicine is where you study nutrition, massage, iridology, so you get to read the eyes, and then you study herbs. So there are Chinese herbs in there, but in Chinese medicine, they study acupuncture.
That's true.
And things like that, yeah.
Ah.
But it's food as medicine, plants as medicine, the way that traditionally we were raised on the land
True.
with nature as our medicine. Yeah.
That's true. We were raised on that. We call it agbo, where I come from. Just leaf. They
Say it
just
again.
we call agbo.
Agbo.
Agbo. Yes. Agbo is the natural leaf that they pluck from the trees and they cook it and they make you to drink it. You might throw up, but you drink it and they bath the babies with it and all sort of things. So can they call you an herbalist? No, it's different from an herbalist.
And a what?
A herbalist.
Oh, herbalist. I am a herbalist, yes.
Ah,
Yes.
interesting. That's good. Fantastic. Well, I think Liz has read some of the book as well. And I don't know if she wants to go or she wants me to go.
Yeah, I mean it's good to hear that you were successful at uni. I just want to know how did your personal experience that you went through shape you at uni, and were the conflicts in terms of your emotional state and the pressure of uni, and how you also related to the other students and so on.
Yeah. So uni, of course, is a stressful time for anyone, especially when you're leaving home for the first time.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, being female. I lived in a dormitory, so that was different again, being away from home and living with other students. But particularly when you just leave home, when your mum's just died, your dad's trying to take his life, my dad, and also the sexual abuse, which had come to a head, which I'd been groomed since a very young age, since 10. And then to have that escalate at a time when my mum was at home in palliative care. So I ended up taking all of that with me, which is really unfortunate because that should have been, and look, let me just say it a different way. That was the highlight of my life, going to art school. It was a big dream of mine, but unfortunately it was also contrasted with having to act like I had it all together because I was incredibly anxious, incredibly fearful, mistrusting of everyone. So I didn't really form those kind of fun, frivolous friendships that you imagine you're supposed to when you go to uni. And I guess, not I guess, I know that it was actually a blessing because I put my head down and I did the work. Now, I still went to parties, I still had friends, but I was a little more serious about getting things done.
Sure.
And I really knew that I had to process and work through my own grief. And I did that through art. Actually, quite interesting is, oh no, this battery's running low. So I swapped devices, and this is not a device I normally use. So let me just plug
You
that
said
in.
that. Yeah, you said that.
Oh my goodness.
So take your time. You were saying that before.
Thank you.
Customized business public speaking with women, for women. Okay. That's the she talks.
She does. She does talk.
She talks, man. I like that.
Sorry, guys, you put my head in the word. Look, anyway, when we go through trauma, oh, it wants to tell me it again. Let me try. That should be all right. So when we go through trauma, when I went through trauma, I was trying to hide it at uni, but also because I wasn't talking about it to anyone, I had an opportunity to get introspective about it. I really had an opportunity to assess where I was at and what I should do about it. So I was so aware of, oh gosh, this is how I'm feeling. This isn't how I should be feeling. And I knew that a way that I wanted to be feeling was just to have fun and enjoy it. But because I was processing trauma, I really got to do it seriously, not just push it away, forget that it was there. I actually did process that trauma. And so I was creating some really gloomy art in the beginning about death. And that was okay because that was part of the processing. I allowed that to happen. At first, it wasn't comfortable because I was thinking, this is not who I want to be. This is not who I was meant to be in life. And I think we all go through that. We all go through that passage of life where things aren't the way that we had dreamed that they were going to be.
Exactly.
And so it was a surrendering and just accepting, well, this is where I'm at. This is what I've got in life. Let me make the most of it.
So I read that you were drinking. So was it because of the situation that got you into drinking, or were you exposed to drinking from home naturally?
No, that was to soothe the stress. It actually would take away the anxiety for a while. So I thought at the time that it was a really great way to just feel better and get on with life. You know, rather than ending up in bed in a ball crying my eyes out, at least I could get outside and live my life. But then it got out of control. Like I was drinking a lot. Yeah. And it's not healthy.
Of course, yeah, not. So when you were at uni, mommy was already passed away when you were at uni. I thought,
Yeah.
oh wow, wow. Talk to us about that. How long was was it cancer?
Yeah, she had it for 6 months.
And that was it.
She was diagnosed and then she died within 6 months.
What year were you then?
We kept her at home. Oh, what year was I? I was in my final year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, of high school. And
High school.
Yeah, I wagged every day for those 6 months, and I came and spent them with her, reading stories to her. And you know, it was really funny because I sat in the exam, the final exams, and I put my pen down because I'd answered all the questions, and I started to walk out of the room, and the teacher at the front said, hang on a minute, you've got to do this, you've got to finish it, you can't just leave. And I said, I have finished. He went, he looked, he flicked through, and he said, oh, are you happy with your answers? I just said yes. I just wanted to get out of there and go home. I got top marks. So all of that reading and studying and all of that studiousness that I had paid off because I wasn't thinking, I wasn't stressed, I didn't care. All the answers just flowed out on the test papers without that anxiety or stress. Yeah.
Wow.
So I found that really fascinating. Actually, that became a tool for me later. And it's something I still use, as in just moving all that worry and doubt and stress to the side so that we can function from our true nature, our higher intelligence, the human being we were born to be, our potential. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I read in one of the aspects, I don't know if Liz you can go after me, but I read that at a time that a guy, I think maybe from uni, said he was going to share your double bed with you, and you
Oh, yeah.
allowed that. I was wondering, why did you allow that? Were you drunk then?
No, that was someone who became my closest friend, and it was a very gentle man, and he was very kind, and I started to open up, and I still know him today. It wasn't him who did that thing.
Wow.
The story's a bit more than that. But I fell asleep, and that should never have happened. I was taken advantage of while I was asleep. There were two
So where
people in
was
the
your
bed.
friend? Where was
The
he
two,
then?
so he'd left, and someone else had gone in, and I thought it was someone else. I thought it was him.
Because I
So
remember there was a case at the party. Was it the same guy that was protecting you at the
that's a
party?
different that's a different story. Now at the party, everyone had left, and it was just the couple who lived there. But people had come back, and I was sleeping in the lounge room on a mattress on the floor, and he had gotten in next to me. So I often used to say to my niece in her early 20s, look, I know you want to have male friends, and I understand that. And of course, you can have male friends, but just be really aware when you invite them to, like, if you're going to cuddle them or if you're going to invite them for whatever reason. If you're alone, just know they might take that the wrong way.
Wow.
And I
I
mean,
think,
so many women have a story.
yeah,
I'm yet to find a woman who doesn't, to be honest, who doesn't have
yeah,
some story. And men as well. I'm just talking from my
yeah,
point of view. Yeah.
yeah. There was a story last week that somebody was saying that there's no way a woman will have a male friend and it will be true friend. I'm like, wow. They said there's no way. Like, this is really unbelievable. It could have gone anyway. That's another story for another day. Because, but I thought one of your friend was a good one anyway, wasn't? You had one boy that was like an angel that was looking after you through, or did he misbehave as well at the end of the day?
No. No, but he was in love with me. So, when I know that saying's out there about you can't have a male friend, you can't have purely a male friend. They'll either fall in love with you or they want have sex with you, right? And
Wow.
to a certain degree, I think that might be true. Maybe, but also I also believe that it is possible to have a real male friend.
I did. I had good male friends, good male friend. I had, but maybe I was fortunate. Who knows? Because the way this story is going around, no people are saying that there is no friend. And I know even when I got married, my husband always say, "No, I don't want male friend." I'm like, "They're good friends. They be my friend. They good." It's like, "No, I don't believe in all these things." So who knows whether I was fortunate or not?
I know.
Let's go
Yeah,
on
even I
quickly.
don't know that answer, right?
You
Liz, do
see?
you know the answer to that?
No,
Yeah.
really. It's
Really?
very
So
When
you
we
can't
do
have
that,
complicated.
your friend.
Yeah, and we have our
Yeah.
male friends. If men are saying, "Hey, don't get too friendly," because with other guys, and it's not out of that jealousy, then there's a
Yeah,
reason for that. Yeah,
that's true. That's
and
true.
I,
But
I mean, and if they're going to fall in love with you, want to have sex with you, maybe that's a normal reaction, And then
unbelievable.
now, once we are aware of that, we might approach those friendships
Different.
still with an open heart, but maybe not hugging and all the things that we do with female friends. Maybe
Yeah.
and I don't like saying we need to be different between the different genders. I don't like that, but I still feel it has a place. And I think I said to you, even if I'm on public transport, I will still I will sit with a woman.
Mm.
And I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to give a man the wrong impression.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to be treated with respect. So, yeah.
That's true.
I,
No,
I think when we become friendly, they find a way to groom you when you become friendly. If they are not genuine, they definitely groom you, and eventually, after some time, they do sleep with you.
Yes.
wow.
So
And
I
and you know
think the
what?
girls
I
must
would agree
really
with
be,
that.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it is an
We must just
opportunity.
be cautious. We must be vigilant in our, friendships and the people we bring into our circles. Really, it's not a blind trust, and I'm sure you can speak to that. For how are
It's a
you in
hard one
terms of
though, isn't
trust
it? It's hard when you want to be open and trusting,
now?
and you don't want to be that person who has to question someone else's integrity. But I believe we should. Absolutely. They should be someone of high integrity. They should absolutely respect us. Actually, here's a rule that I taught to my
Yes.
nieces and nephews is if anyone goes past your no, that's a problem. They don't care about you. If they don't accept your no, then you should walk away from them. And I think it's the same in those male relationships. Oh, come on, it's just a cuddle, or come on, we're just friends. That's to me a red flag. And I think the
Wow.
youth, yeah, and I think our youth need to know that because, I mean, I know what I was like. Just really friendly with everyone, just a really sweet kid who would just go
Love.
and I'd,
I
I'd
can.
put my head on their chest and hug them, and it got misinterpreted, right?
Wow.
Or, and as Liz said, that it was like, oh, here's an easy opportunity for me to groom this person. She's so sweet, she doesn't even know what's happening.
Yeah. Sometimes you could be very vulnerable and very naive. Apparently, sometimes the guys wait until something happened to you and then you go and cry on the shoulder, and that's when they take advantage of you.
Well, that's definitely the person who groomed me. That they took that role of, I'm your second dad. If anything happens to your family, I'll always be here. I'm like your father. I'll always look after you. But at the same time, telling me that I looked like a boy, that I had scars on my body, that no man would ever want me, and that I was not as pretty as his girls, and that I didn't have any talent. So that whole messing with your psychology, you know.
This person is such an evil, I'm sorry to say. But let's go on a quick break and come back because I just want to know where are they now. We'll be back.
Okay, great.
Welcome back on the show, and we still have Fur Wale. I love the name Wale because Wale is actually my cultural name. It's the name from my my city or my state, Wale. So it's I love the name. You feel like you're from Nigeria, but anyway,
I love that.
we've been getting it's more than a nugget, a chunk of knowledge, insight from Fur. I wish I've known you a long time ago because I would have been preaching this to the whole world because some of us are very naive and we've been very fortunate, but I about people that are kind and nice and friendly like Fur, and they've been taking that, and we still have all the kids like that till today. So it's never too late anyway. As I said, we can still be mindful now of our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, nephews all around us, not to be naive, and because then they will take you for granted. First, I can't believe a human being we say things that you just said before, that they said you're not as pretty as they get. Human being with the blood running through the vein. What sort of person? I'm so sorry. I'm like this. I don't get it. I don't know if Lisa's got it. How can you say that
Yeah,
to a child? What
I know. It's
nasty
incredibly,
energy.
it's nasty and selfish. It's very selfish. That's what it is. But it's insidious because, and it's actually, the stats tell us that it's usually someone we know. It can be a family member, an extended family member, a friend of a friend. It's usually someone that the child
Do
knows.
you think he's sick though? Do you think they can be sick though? Are they
Yeah, he
sick?
is, because he's abused his own children.
Oh, so he's sick.
Wow.
This person
Yeah,
is
I found
definitely
out
sick.
later. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And so now the way that they deal with it is they just keep their girls away from him.
wow. So do you still see him?
No,
But do you know where he is?
yes.
You know what I was going to say next.
I don't know what, but what I did do something very brave, but I did it for me. We had a family reunion and I was so nervous that I drank and I was getting drunk. And my cousin said, "You need to slow down. I understand that this is scary for you, but you need to slow down drinking." And I was hiding, like, so wherever he was, I would move into the shadows or behind a pillar. And then I decided I can't be this person. This is ridiculous. This is not who I identify with anymore.
Yeah,
I'm a strong woman. I
yes.
manage everything in life. I don't run away anymore. So when I saw him sit down at a table by himself, I said, "This is it. You're going to go sit opposite him."
Good.
This scared me, but I knew I had to do it. I was shaking. But I knew what I wanted to do. I just wanted to sit and I was just going to look in his eyes and not say anything. And I was just having a conversation with myself, which was, "See, he can't hurt you anymore. You're strong. You're showing him that he doesn't rule your life anymore, that you don't care. It doesn't matter." And I didn't, and I'm very big on holding, not, I'm trying to find the right word. I won't hate someone. I won't go there. I won't do that. I
That's
do
good.
have compassion for him. I
That's
really
good.
do. But at the same time, everything he did was wrong, wrong, wrong. But I
Yeah.
sat there and I just looked at him and then he started crying and he said, the only thing he said is, "When your dad died, I felt really guilty." And then he hung his head with his hands and I waited and I thought, that's it. He's not going to say anything else. So I got up and I left.
That's good.
But that
So
cleared me from that past. That cleared me.
yeah.
And the internal conversation I had with myself, mind you, I cried. I put my head in my cousin's lap and I cried the whole 1.5 hours home. But when I got home, the conversation I had with myself was, "Oh my goodness, you
You
did
did
that.
it. You did it.
You did
Yeah.
it. You faced the devil.
Yeah.
You did it." You did it, girl. You can face anything now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that everyone should do that. That might be
Yeah.
risky
Yeah.
for some people. But we have to get face to face with it, because for as long as we push it down, ignore it, don't deal with it, put our head in the sand, it comes up. And the problem is it infects our relationships. It can make us argue with good people. It can make us push good partners away, which is all true for me.
Yeah.
And they make us feel like we're not really connected with life, which is why I'm so big about connections now.
Wow.
So important to really see someone and use their name and respect and honor them, but not immediately anymore for me. It's
Right.
like, I want to know about that person first. Right?
Yeah.
I don't just give it away anymore. You must be willing to meet me where you are, which I think is good advice for anyone.
Yeah.
Right? You think about in tribal days, in tribal days, if someone came from the outside, they couldn't come in until who are you? Where did you come
Yeah.
from? Why are you here?
Yeah.
What's your purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or they might fight. Not like animals fight, not to the death,
Yeah.
but just to fight it out, and then, okay, we're friends. We're friends. Yeah.
Well, tell us about your dad and how you felt about the situation around dad, the dad's passing. Because when I read this journey, and that's gonna, after this answer is gonna, I'm go, I'm gonna go to the. You're gonna tell us the secret afterwards, but what you experienced with dad's story, your loving daddy, your beautiful daddy, and your mom. You love
What do
your
you
mom.
want me to tell you? Because there's so many different things I can
Yeah,
talk
the
about.
one I was shaking because my father was in the police as well, so I'm a police child.
Yes.
Yes, and my father is coming on the show next week.
Oh,
Fingers
wow. I'm
crossed.
going to watch.
I know it's 90, almost 90,
Oh,
but
my goodness. That's
I
fantastic.
know. Yeah, like, but that you that took you to a work function, and you were talking with dad, and somebody else came, and three of you were talking, and all of a sudden you couldn't find your daddy, and something told you to quick look for him. That's what the one I read. Like, what gave you that inclination? Like, you're a kid, you should just be playing around with the stuff.
Well, I was 16 and,
Oh, you
and a
was
very perceptive child. And also, it was my job now to watch my dad, to watch him. And I was watching him very carefully. And of course, I sat with him at night when he was not sleeping in the bed that his wife died in. He was at the breakfast bar crying all night. And I would come out, put my hand on his back. He wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't look up, but he'd calm down a bit. He heaved, and I knew he was happy for me to be there. And I put my head down and sleep and wake up and sleep. So when we went to the party, I just got a sense he's gone too long to have gone to the bathroom. And so my immediate thing is something's wrong, because he's a depressed man, right? Something's wrong. And it was a big house, and all the doors were closed. There were 4 bedrooms and 2 toilets, and I'm opening the door, he's not there, opening the door, he's not there, opening the door, he's not there, open the door, he's on the floor on his knees, and he had a police handgun. His head was back. I shouldn't go into too much because I don't want to leave people with
yeah.
this, because now you're thinking about he was going to take his life with his own police handgun. And I was surprised about how I behaved, but also in hindsight, it's not a surprise because I learned a lot. We learn a lot just watching our parents. And my dad was an exceptional policeman who came from compassion, but he was firm and hard.
Oh, that's my father.
Yeah, it's good, right?
Mhm.
It's good because I think kids need that, right?
Yeah.
And so I talked him down. It's an actual police term, and that's why I used it in the book, because in hindsight, I used a police tactic. I talked him down. all right, come on, stop for a minute, just listen to what I'm saying. You don't actually want to do this. And talked him down. And it was, I mean, he accoladed me later. He said, you should be a policewoman. I want you to be a policewoman. You were so good what you did. Like, you just intuitively did that. I'm like, no, I don't want to be a policewoman. Thank you. But it didn't stop him from taking his life.
Yeah.
It was quite some time later. A few more traumatic events happened for him in his life, and he ended up taking his life. So, but I don't feel, I feel like that was his right to do that. But at the same time, I know that if he had just hung on when I had to come back to Melbourne, we could have worked it out. We could have been a family again, and he would have got past that depression, because he just had a heart attack and he actually died, and they brought him back. So he was depressed.
Mm. Wow. I mean, the love between him and the wife was, like you said, was apparently immovable. So when mom left, it just felt like, I love you guys, but I really miss my wife. You know, like you said, how do you
He
console
he
someone?
didn't grieve her. He didn't grieve her very well. Yeah, yeah. They're a beautiful partnership. So I just have beautiful memories of coming out into the kitchen, us kids waking up, coming out in the kitchen, and my parents are in the kitchen hugging, and we'd squeeze in and try and get in between them because we wanted to be part of that hug. Yeah,
How sweet is that?
yeah.
That's so
Awesome.
good. But third, I've got this pressing question. Please, sorry about this. I'm just crazy. But I just want to know, how did you get your breakthrough though? Like, mom died and I knew you were in the book, you weren't able to even sleep on the bed with mom at a stage because it was so too much for you. Mom went to the hospital. She was coming back now on a wheelchair, all those things, and that broke your heart. And now dad, you were taking charge of protecting dad and everything else, and you didn't even have a life of your own at this time. It was just family, my brother, my father, all those you were saying. So, how did you come around? How did you make it to this stage?
You know, I think it's, to be truthful, I wanted to fall apart and be scooped up. That's what I really wanted to happen. But the circumstances didn't allow me, because everyone in my family were falling apart. Then it was, the only thing I could do was to step into her role and make sure that my dad and my brothers were okay, because that meant my family didn't completely fall apart. So there was no choice, that's right. But I didn't begrudge it, and I did it lovingly. But at the same time, I grieved not having my youth. I grieved that because
Yeah.
I never had it. I missed out on it. So, because I went to uni and then I got serious, right? How I broke through, many breakthroughs, but to be honest, my beliefs, when the morning my mum died and after I passed my exam and then I came home, I suddenly realized that I was afraid of the world and that I was no longer invincible. And I know that this is something that we all go through. We all go through something where we realize we're no longer that invincible child. For some, it's really shocking, and for others, it's like a mourning a loss because it's gradual. But so I had this sense of, I don't trust anything. I don't even know if I believe anything anymore. I don't know what's true. I don't know who to believe, because that was happening with the grooming. And then my brother rejected me. My other brother was crying and didn't speak for months. So there I was alone, and I didn't have any thoughts or beliefs left that I could hang on to that would self-soothe me or make me feel better. Like, nothing worked. No, none of my previous beliefs, I felt like they were all shattered. And then I thought, I need something to, like, I didn't believe in God anymore. I didn't believe in anything, right? No support. And I thought, I need something. I need to believe in something. So I decided well, actually what I thought was, well, if my beliefs can be broken like this, I wonder if I can put the pieces together. And like, I tried that didn't work. Then I thought, well, then I wonder if I can make up a belief and just put it on a new outfit and wear it and make it work. And that's what I started doing. So one of my very first beliefs, even though I just stopped believing in God, and even though I stopped believing in people, I decided that it must be true that things always work out. I want that to be true. So I'm going to just tell myself that things always work out. And that was the very first belief that I had. And it worked. It made me feel better. Yeah.
Wow.
It really worked. So that's what I kept doing. I kept modifying. And now I know there's a term for that. It's called self-regulation, where we get to choose how we feel, our emotions, what we think. We get to choose that. We get to regulate that. And that's the work that I do now, because I know how powerful it is for any situation, for any person. Yeah.
For any situation. For any situation. I love it.
Anytime, anywhere. We're more powerful than we realize. And that's what I realized, because I had everything stripped away from me. Everything was taken from me that I cared about. And here I am, a 16-year-old. I felt so grown up prior, and then in that moment, I felt completely lost. How do I be a grown up? How do I do this? I've got to iron my dad's shirt with a perfect crease in the sleeve, make his lunch, make my brother's lunch, clean the house, get my own homework done, live my own life, try and have it just, I don't know how to do this. And suddenly I felt like a child again. But that's actually a blessing for me, because it's put me in a position where I cannot not do something to share wisdom and help others, raise others up. I cannot sit here and let life just happen and let me have a good life. Look, I want to sometimes, having such a huge history of so many bad things happening. There are times I just want to just go on an island and just just have a nice life, because I deserve it. But I have this deep calling within me that won't let me not come and talk to you, so that at least someone will hear something that they need. Because, I watched Oprah. I think I told you I watched Oprah, and she said, it was one show, and she was talking about rape, and she leant into the camera and she said, I want you to know, whoever's out there listening, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Tears rolling down my eyes. And I thought, how does that happen through a television? So us sharing our stories, whether it's you, Liz, or you, Temi, or the man before, whoever it is, what story, it doesn't have to be traumatic or, oh my God, that happened. It can be simply, I couldn't get up on time in the morning, and here's the strategy that I use. That's a life changer for someone. Hallelujah. That means someone can get that thing that's stopping them out of the way. Now they can be who they are. Now they can step into their potential. Now they can live their dream. But while we've got something in the way, and we all do, and until we manage it in a really resourceful way that suits us, then what is this life for? We don't have a purpose. We're like floundering around. Oh, what's the point of just surviving life? Go to work, come home, cook dinner.
Yeah.
No, that's not life. That's not joy or happiness.
That's what I say.
Yeah. Good.
What's the point? What are we even trying to achieve in this life? What is the purpose,
There's a great feeling when we can get up off the couch. Even if I used to have to push myself out the door sometimes. Oh, I don't want to. Yes, you are going. There's my calling, and there's I want to just relax and do nothing. Go for your calling, because it's so fulfilling. You'll never regret it. You'll never regret it. You'll be a better person. The people around you will be better people. Doors open like you can't imagine. Joy fills your heart like you never had it before.
Yeah. You are
Beautiful.
a gem. You are,
You are.
you
And
know,
you are.
you are indeed. You know, when we talk about an intrepid woman, like a powerful, in fact, your life is amazing. Even though you went through all that, which we need to know, but the fact that you're still blessing the world, still looking after your nieces and nephews, you still have time for us. You still have time for the whole world and the women. You're like that. You are like my Jesus, so to say.
No, but that's
You
because
are
of the
you are like that
circumstances.
God. I'm telling you, you got no idea. And I'm saying this, sometimes we have, like Liz always say, you lose a limb. She's got something with limbs. Like, you lose a limb, and then you think your whole world is down. It's a limb.
It's
I'm not
just a
saying it's not
limb.
painful, it's your truth, you know, but it's still a limb. We lose everything, but we're still
Yeah.
standing. I like that story. You got no idea what your
Temi, I understand. But when I think people with, you can have too much trauma and it immobilizes you and you do nothing with your life. And I mean, it's different for different people. And then you have a certain amount of trauma and it just puts a flame under you, right? And I think if none of these things had happened, then, like, I don't know where I just wouldn't have the depth that I would have. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
as much drive as this. So it's a blessing. My thing is, how do people get this passionate about their life when they haven't had anything happen?
That's true.
That's hard.
That's very
It's
Mm.
true.
hard. And so when they do it, I think they're the heroes. For me, they're the heroes.
Mm.
You are the hero.
This
Liz,
was put in me, but
you are the hero. Fair. You are the hero. And I
the
know what I'm
heroes,
saying.
the
Liz,
heroes are my parents who gave me this in the first place.
thank God for them. We really thank God
Yeah,
for them. May their soul rest in perfect peace, because
yes.
all you
Oh, I
told
like
us
that
about them
perfect peace.
is, it's beautiful. It is absolutely. And you look, some kids, the parents give them all these that they give, they don't even see, they can't think past themselves. But you're just too much. I need to be quiet. Liz, like,
You are
I
gorgeous.
could do this with you till tomorrow.
When I
And
meet,
then,
when I
um
meet you, I'm going to squish you.
you know oh my gosh. I have a friend, maybe she's not on social media anyway. She's got phobia because she was stalked. And since she's been stalked, she's doing amazing, but she was, stalking. They stalked her, I don't know, a few times. And now she's scared, she's paranoid, and she will never go on social media, and she will never talk on the phone. She will, because of that. I'm not saying it's not bad, but I'm just saying I said to her, if you're not on social media, how are you going to hear her? How are you not going to get your deliverance? You need to do something to be able, you need to hear people that things happen to, and they're still standing and they're still doing amazing. And you don't let the fear make you into captivity,
When
because
did
I
this
like, I like
happen?
freedom. Sorry?
When did it happen for her?
It
How long
happened like
ago?
maybe 10 years ago.
Oh, a long time, and she's still
Till
okay.
tomorrow. I spoke with her yesterday. She's still
Right.
really scared. And if
Yeah.
you know what she's doing, I don't know, she's highly connected, and she's a big, big woman, but still scared about this. So that's why I'm saying, when I'm talking to you, and I'm what is it say, excited, is because I have a lot of people in my sphere that one tenth of what happened to you happened to them, and they're not over it. And now we're just praying and believing and massaging and all this. And it's, in as much as we want to do that, but it's becoming really exhausting. So that is why we're happy
Right.
with people that are standing, and they, you're still helping others. Because if all of us want to think about our problems, nobody's going to help anybody. We're all going to be in the same
That's
people.
true.
That's why
Okay.
liberation, I'm so excited about your story, where you are today and what you're still doing, and the freedom that you have despite of all that is because
Yeah,
of,
lots more freedom than ever before.
you see.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, it does take something for me to do this. There's no denying that. Absolutely, it takes something to do to get outside of your own internal dialogue and these sensations that we have all the time, and our emotions. It really takes something. And where I like to start from is to normalize anxiety, stress, fear, pain, all of it. I like to normalize it first, because our society tells us that we can't get angry as women, that we should get over things quicker than we are, that we should soldier on, put our head in the sand,
Yeah,
just push it down. We're not supposed to even look awkward or anxious, right?
yeah,
So I like to normalize it first. This is what I say to people. Okay, if you want to not be on social media, don't. But consider this. While you're carrying that fear, because I used to be afraid to go on social media, I wouldn't put. Now I made a decision one day. I went, okay, I'm going to overcome this fear. I'm going to put my email address, my phone number, and if
wow,
bad things happen, then I will deal with it then. Nothing's ever happened in all of these years, and right from when Facebook started, right,
yeah,
all these years, nothing's happened. My phone number's still there, my email's still there. Anyone can contact me.
yes,
So
you see.
normalize it, yeah. But then we have to be with the truth of it, not catastrophizing it, not in our survival centers of our brain, which is,
Yeah,
this is where this lady is. She's still in survival mode. And that wreaks havoc on your mental well-being and on your physical well-being. That causes inflammation in the body. Stress-driven inflammation is a very
yeah,
dangerous place to be. And you're hiding. So her internal conversations with herself are going to be around, I don't have courage. Look, there'll be her own narratives, but it's going to be around not having courage, not being able to take risks, not being
yeah,
strong, like all of that. She's going to have those narratives because she's hiding.
yeah.
She's vulnerable. So they're
And
the
she's
conversations.
beautiful,
So
absolutely
the next
beautiful.
thing, yeah. So what we need to do is just say, okay, what is this? Where am I? I'm hiding. I'm being vulnerable. I'm not being courageous. I'm not taking risks. And understandably, you've been through a scary situation. You have a right to feel that way, but it's been some years now. Let me look at a different way. And
Yeah,
I have a saying, and I think it's a great saying, and I teach this. It is, what's the truer truth? Because you see, she's been living that as though it's her truth. We all
yeah,
have something that we live as our truth, but it's not actually true.
that's true.
She's not in danger. She's not in danger anymore. It's happening.
Yeah, she's not.
It's over. She's safe.
Mm,
And
yeah,
so what's the truer truth? Well, she might say the next truer truth for her, because it's personal, might be, well, actually, I'm making that up. I don't actually know if it's dangerous for me to be on social media. And maybe there's a way that I can be on social media without being a public profile to everyone, and I could just have friends. And it would be nice to be social.
it would be
You
nice to
start
be.
with the truer truth. You keep finding those truer truths so that you can just move out of the way. Those old ways
Yeah,
of
yeah.
being.
Your line is breaking now. Please, is it breaking to you as well?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah, the line is. But I heard what I'm sure you heard, Liz, that
Yeah, I did.
that's whatever she's thinking is not the absolute truth. It's not the truest truth. It's just the story that she's believing, which
Yeah.
is you're right.
Because if you try and, yeah,
Fantastic.
But if you try to
Well,
find
we
the
might
absolute
I
truth,
might talk to you,
it's
outside of the show.
it's really hard.
We have a chat fair, and when everything dies down, we might have a cuppa with her. And I've been thinking about you and Heidi,
You bet.
both of you like Squisha, maybe should be out. But anyway, Liz, have you got your final question for Fer? What fascinates you the most that you want to ask Fer and you haven't been able to ask? So I know we're running out of time, but you don't want to leave Fer alone, don't you? Do you?
Yeah, sure. Hopefully, I can phrase this correctly because I really have a tough time in putting this across. Hopefully, it's gonna come out in a way that it really brings the meaning that I want to get the answer. I want to know for in the light of you having changed, I don't know, is name or identity. When you write the book and you talk about your story, who are you at that point? Are you Fur, or do you then become,
The
do you
simple.
speak from the point of, I don't know your other name, but who are you when you talk about your story?
Jennifer,
When you were sitting down and you were writing, is there a moment that Fur disappears and you completely become in name and everything, your former self?
Good one.
yeah, it's breaking up for me, but I
Yeah, it's
believe I heard what
breaking
you said.
up.
Are you saying, because my birth name is Jennifer, but my name now is Fur, and that was a conscious decision to recreate myself. And as beautiful as the name is, Jennifer, I love it. My mother gave it to me. I adore it. There are still some special people in my life who call me Jennifer, and
Oh,
that's their
it's
privilege.
breaking.
That's their privilege.
up.
That's up to them. But the thing is, people don't call you Jennifer. They call me Jenny or Jen when I was Jennifer. And I wanted to get away from all of my history, recreate myself. So now I'm Fur. And that's it. I'm Fur Wale. That's it. That's it. No going back. As lovely as the name is, and as much as I honour and respect that name being given to me at birth, I really do. It was necessary to recreate myself. And I think my mum would think it was fabulous. And so would my dad. So there you go. Did that
You're
answer the
too.
question, Liz?
Yeah, yeah, you did.
I
Thank
think the
you.
last question Liz was asking was, when you were writing the book, were you Jennifer or were you Fer? Can you hear
Sorry, I
us?
didn't hear that.
Yeah, when you were writing the book, Liz was asking that the final question was, were you Fer or were you Jennifer when you were writing the book?
Ah,
Were you Jennifer or were you
yeah, no, I was
Fer?
Fur.
You were Fer.
Yes, definitely.
Ah, well, you are
Yes.
just too much. You are
Great
just too much.
question. Great question.
I don't know, for everybody that has been watching
To
us,
speak with you, ladies. Such a pleasure. Such an honour. It's
you
so nice to be around
well,
other great women.
on this platform, when we see good women, we don't let them go. We hold on to them. But I really think she's laughing like, is this gonna be it? We
Me
can't
either.
just be like,
We must come together.
we must come together because
We
you
will.
are an
We will.
inspirational woman, and
Yeah,
whatever happened, truly, it wasn't your fault. You did not call for somebody next door to be somebody who is sick in the head and who is an abuser of a young girl. It wasn't your fault, truly. Everything that happened was not your fault, and I'm glad that you're free, like a butterfly. Now you're flying. It's Thank you for blessing us and thank you for blessing the world, really. And I know that after today's, the previous one, and all the messages that you've been put out, I know lives will be changed. I know for sure that people will get their deliverance listening to you, because I'm getting mine actually. I called my daughter last week. I'm like, did someone touch you when you were little? Because we're supposed to have asked you. I'm sorry I didn't ask. She was laughing and said, "Mommy, what's wrong with you?" And I said, "Because Fair taught us." I promised I was gonna ask, so I did. So but you got no idea. I'm really, really appreciative of your person, of your time, really, and the connection that we now have. You are a gem. I really appreciate you, and I know, like I said, people will be praying for you wherever they are for the beauty that you brought to this whole wide world. We love you, Fair, truly. You know, and we'll bring you back. For everybody that is watching, we just want to say, see, we've gone past the time. It's Fair. You just have to be with Fair. What do you reckon? And we can't help it. It's amazing. So we're gonna see you again next time, next week. Can you hear me, Fair? Oh, it's your phone. What happened? Oh, well, we're blowing kisses and we're giving hugs. All right, that's what we're saying. We love you, Fair. We're gonna see you again next week. And for everybody, we say tata for now. We see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye bye for now. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.